Fellow Ambazonians, fellow Southern Cameroonians, I bring you revolutionary greetings. Today is the 18th of April in the year of our Lord 2018, and I bring you this information from the Southern Cameroon's Liberation Council. This is a summary of a letter that has been dished out by the SCLC to the European Union. And I'm coming here, therefore, to reiterate the position of the SCLC with respect to a resolution that has just been passed today by the European Parliament relating to the situation in the Cameroons. My dear people of the Southern Cameroons, the European Parliament resolution from the viewpoint of the SCLC is an embarrassment. That resolution downplays the magnitude of the ongoing genocide on our people. When you take a look at what was the project and even the modification they have done on the figures before its final adoption, that resolution still announces figures that are a far cry from what everyone around the world knows is the magnitude of the crisis ongoing in the southern Cameroons. The European Union project initially talked of just 170 people dead since 2016. Even their slight modification and virtual omission of that figure in the final document doesn't take away their intent, because by trying to downplay the figures and by trying to downplay the magnitude of the humanitarian crisis that is ongoing in the southern Cameroons, the European Union is by that act attempting to conceal genocide, attempting to abet genocide, and attempting to protect the murderous regime of Mr. Paul Biya. Again, that resolution comes across virtually as a threat on the people of the southern Cameroons and the Ambazonians. And if you look at the wordings of that resolution, you go away with the impression that when these people ask our restoration forces to, without delay and unconditionally, lay down arms, without at the same time calling on the people of La République du Cameroun to tell their terrorist forces, their terrorist soldiers who are wreaking havoc on our people, visiting them with rape, torture, and all sorts of pains, burning down villages and looting, when they don't ask them to immediately withdraw. This marks simply of total hypocrisy. Now, when you also look at that resolution, you will realize that the people of the European Parliament, they treat Southern Cameroonians and Ambazonians just as an appendix of La République du Cameroun. And it confirms the notion of France and La République du Cameroun that we are only second-rate citizens. If you want to doubt, go through it, and you will see that in that resolution, a lot of emphasis is laid on the release of Maurice Kamto and the close to 200 other officials of the MLC party that have been captured and detained in La République du Cameroun. They don't make any clear mention of Sisiku Ayuktabe. They don't mention Patasang Wilfred. They don't mention Pam Fongalamfo. They don't mention Mancho Bibixi. They don't mention Pen Terence. They don't mention Fidelis Ndoche. They don't mention any of our people. And they don't even attempt to give figures of our people who are incarcerated in various detention centers around La République du Cameroun. All they are concerned about is the release of Maurice Kamto. That tells you that even from their own viewpoint, we, the people of the Southern Cameroons, are only an appendix or second-class citizens to the people of La République du Cameroun, whose problems they believe, if they solve, they invariably solve the problem of the slaves attached to the noble citizens of La République du Cameroun. I say noble in their view. This is an insult. If you look at that resolution once more, or at those resolutions once more, you see clearly that they are calling on the government of La République du Cameroun to lift the ban on the MLC party. Nowhere do they urge the government of La République du Cameroun to lift the ban that they slammed on the SCNC and on the consortium on the 17th of January 2017. This is shocking, it's embarrassing, and it cannot come across as victory to the people of the Southern Cameroons. Those resolutions also claim that both sides have refused dialogue. You will all agree with me that this is blatant lying, because right from the time that the lawyers and the teachers who ignited this phase, I mean this phase, because this is a problem that has been around for so long, who ignited this phase of the struggle, they immediately started holding meetings with government officials, first separately, then under the framework of the consortium. And while these talks were going on the 17th of January, the government decided unilaterally to discontinue the dialogue that was going on, and then went ahead to outlaw the consortium, outlaw the SCNC, and then started a crackdown on all the leaders of both the consortium and the SCNC by capturing the then president of the consortium, Agbobala, and the Secretary General, Fontem Neba, and a school of others, including Mancho Bibixi, Penn Terence, and the hundreds upon hundreds, I should say thousands of other people who are under detention. So who ran away from dialogue? Who didn't want dialogue? And today we have gone past the stage of dialogue. And we want the European Parliament to take note of this, that we have gone past the stage of dialogue. And again, if you look at those resolutions, the European Parliament contends that the ongoing armed conflict in the Southern Cameroons only escalated in 2018. They forget that it is on the 30th of November 2017 that Mr. Paul Biya declared war on the people of the Southern Cameroons. At the SCLC, we don't consider this an omission. We find it a deliberate desire to manipulate international public opinion and to set the stage for the kind of resolution they want to take to the UN Security Council to continue the subjugation of the people of the Southern Cameroons. Now, you go on the issue of schools boycott. The European Parliament places the responsibility and the blame squarely on the shoulders of the people of the Southern Cameroons, of the people of Ambazonia. This is not only embarrassing, this is an insult. I guess that if the members of the European Parliament and anyone in the international community pretends not to know that our educational system is at the very center of the ongoing conflict, then this will simply be bad faith. At the SCLC, we want to remind every other stakeholder involved in trying to seek a solution to the ongoing conflict to recall that the people of the Southern Cameroons had long given clear-cut conditions to La République du Cameroun to facilitate the return of our children to school. Right in 2016, it was made clear, 1, withdraw all Francophone teachers from our educational subsystem. Take away all the stupid reforms that were meant to water down our educational system and make us have second-rate education that will brainwash us just like it has done to the citizens of La République du Cameroun and to the citizens of French-speaking countries in Africa, to the point where they can never ever know what is their right and what is not their right. That is exactly what they are struggling to force on us. And so for the EU Parliament to ask us to urgently allow children to go back to school is an insult. The onus of ensuring that our children go back to school, even beginning today, lies squarely on the shoulders of La République du Cameroun. And this should be taken clear note of. 1, they should immediately withdraw their army of occupation from our territory. 2, they should make sure all those who are on teaching our children leave our schools and go back to La République du Cameroun where their services will be most needed. 3, they should make sure that they stop any form of interference with what is happening to the educational system in the Southern Cameroons. Once all this is done, I don't see any reason why our children will be staying home. We can't ask our children to go to schools with soldiers posted at every corner. We have seen soldiers who claim to be protecting our children in the various schools becoming their predators. They raped students. They killed some. They are the ones who broke into students' hostels at the University of Boya and the University of Bamenda, raping, looting, killing, beating, and arresting. This is something the European Parliament needs to take note of, and very seriously. And again, you see the synchronization. While the European Parliament is passing a resolution saying they will support the holding of an all-Anglophone or of an Anglophone General Conference by Christian Cardinal Toumi and other religious stakeholders in the country, the French ambassador was at the same moment receiving Christian Cardinal Toumi in Yaoundé, a thing they had not done for quite a while when the idea of an AGC was first mooted. And we have also heard it. Although we are still doing everything to confirm, but it is good to outline it here, that we have also been told that there is the possibility that after meeting the French ambassador, Christian Cardinal Toumi was also received or is likely to be received by Mr. Paul Biya. And so we will not be surprised that in the days ahead, you are told that suddenly the government of La République du Cameroon is giving its go-ahead for an Anglophone General Conference to be held in Cameroon. You should know from that point that it is because the European Parliament, the European Union, through the true pressure from France, is simply trying to look for an opportunity to handpick people they know they can control and present them as being the people who are going to be negotiating anything on behalf of the people of the Southern Cameroons. We want you to take home this message that that kind of thing will be resisted, heavily resisted. And now, again, those resolutions indicate that the European Parliament has failed to take into consideration that the Southern Cameroon's question is a territorial matter and not one of mere failure in democratic governance by the central government of La République du Cameroon or just some kind of form of discrimination. We want all this to be taken into account. I want them to note that the problem ongoing today between the people of the Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroon is a territorial problem, and it needs to be resolved only along those lines. And then, coming out of that, the SCLC's position is articulated as follows. Any resolution not taking into account the justified quest for self-determination of the people of the Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia shall be considered null and void and resisted right down to the last man standing. The SCLC is therefore calling on all Southern Cameroonians, on all Ambazonians to gird their loins and stand ready to resist all forms of threats or intimidation from wherever and by whomever until we achieve our goal, which is total independence. Just as I was coming to do this recording, I got information that finally the UN High Commissioner on Human Rights will be visiting Cameroon. It means La République du Cameroon is finally allowing her to step foot in Cameroon. And when she does, we are expecting that she will be allowed to visit all the areas where all forms of atrocities ever imagined on humanity are being perpetrated on our people by soldiers of La République du Cameroon. God is with us.